Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Renee, and oh my god, this has been the most difficult video to set up to film. I swear everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and I'm just gonna try and get this out before the sun goes down and I lose one half of my lighting source, which is the sky. The other half being a janky ring light that is broken and about this big. So we've got to get this out quickly if we want, because it's almost sunset. It's fine though. This was like, it's fun. It's an adventure, you know? What is life without a little drama? 2021 is surely full of that. It's been like 13 days, so. Grand. Okay, well, so does anyone remember when I made a ring video and I said I have a small problem obsession with rings? And that I love rings and buy too many of them and kind of hoard them. That isn't the only thing that I have that problem with, if you can believe it. I know, shocking. But I have an unreasonable amount of colored dust for my eyes. And when I say that, I mean eyeshadow palettes. I have more if you count my single shadows, but currently sitting on the ground in a very strategic order, I have 26 eyeshadow palettes. This obviously isn't an original idea by any stretch of the imagination, but I was thinking, what if I ranked them? Because there are obviously some that I reach for and I love a lot more than others, and some that I like insist on bringing with me when I travel, and some that I'm just like, that could really leave my collection in the next declutter because I don't reach for it at all, if I'm being honest. And I want to preface this by saying that for like at least probably the first 24 of the 26 palettes, I love them all. So this was really difficult. It was really difficult to find an order that like, I was like, okay, do I like it more than this palette? Because also I use different palettes for different situations, right? Like there are colorful eyeshadow palettes, there are neutral eyeshadow palettes, there's eyeshadow palettes that, you know, have more of a purpose for like traveling or for certain special events that I'm just like obviously not going to reach for every day. And I feel like it's weird to rank them against each other when they have like such different purposes in my mind. Anyway, I tried, but I want to say and get it out there that I do really love most of my eyeshadow palettes. So it being at the bottom of the list does not necessarily mean it's a bad palette. That being said, let's start with the bottom of the list. Oh, I put these on the ground in the wrong order. It's the front ones. Oh no, the ones at the front are the top ranking. Oh gracious. Okay, well, I'll figure this out. Give me 1 second. Listen here. It should come maybe as a surprise. I did an eyeshadow palette declutter where I talked about this palette. I don't like it. This is the Colourpop A Flutter palette. She looks like this, and she looks like this on the inside. Like, these colors are all right up my alley. Very romantic, very Valentine's Day, very butterflies are cool. When I held it up last time, there was a shade in here, right? I promise you I've not completely panned just like one shade out of this palette. I think it is gone in my room. Yikes. My floor is carpet. Nothing in this video wants to go right. But I don't know, I just don't like Colourpop eyeshadows. I don't think that they blend out well. The colors, I'm gonna admit I have replicated across several palettes in my collection. And it's got like this glitter in it that's like not actually as pretty as it looks, and it's pretty underwhelming and gets everywhere on your face and into the other parts of the palette. So, I don't know, it's pretty, and I really like the colors, which is why I can't part with it, but it's my least favorite palette in my collection. Oh, there's the shade. Great. An eyeshadow for you. We'll pretend that didn't happen. Next, I don't even really know if this qualifies like as a palette. It's more of a quad, but it's got 5 shades, so I'm gonna call it a palette. It sits with my palettes. This is the Dior 5 colors, iridescent 529 Endless Shine. My mom gave this to me and I really liked it at the time. I think it hasn't like changed textures or formula or anything, but it's pretty old and it's just a little bit like outdated for my tastes. Like I just don't reach, like I'm not making a look with just these colors, but every now and then I do like to put on these colors and, you know, just kind of reminisce over the fact that this used to be my mom's eyeshadow palette and now it's mine. So I still keep it and I still use it sometimes and I still like it, but it's just not great eyeshadow. Like it's just not fantastic. I don't think it ever was. Like I just don't think Dior is known for like their fantastic eyeshadow quality back whenever this was made. So it's no surprise that like my tastes have changed and I like eyeshadow. I have eyeshadow in my collection that's better. Next, this one is a tough one. This one's a real tough one. This is the Naked palette. And back in the day, I would have ranked this as like my favorite palette because it was my only palette and I completely used it up. Like I used up so many of the shades I had to get a second one. And you can tell it's been well loved. Obviously the Naked palette's like such a staple in the beauty community because it really kicked off the whole palette craze trend thing. But I think that it especially did as well for me because I loved eyeshadow so much from using this palette and using specifically like the gold tones with like a brown or smoked out color here that I was searching for those like in every single palette I could find. But now that it's 2021 and I'm looking back on it, I just like, I have other palettes that I think perform a lot better. These colors turn kind of muddy on me. There's not a whole ton of like variation, I guess is how I would say. Like, I don't know, I find it a little bit more difficult to build a look with, especially with how muddy the colors turn, that it doesn't look purposeful. And at the time when I was wearing it, I like every day, I obviously absolutely loved it and had a different opinion, but now it's kind of fallen to the back of my collection and I really don't reach for it that often. Which is sad, and I think I should more in the future. We'll see. Next, this one's also kind of a weird one to put where I've put it. My BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I got this one. I didn't have a lot of colorful eyeshadows because it seemed like a really good price for like some colorfuls, some neutrals. I find this laid out in such a way that I struggle to come up with creative eye looks out of it, even though it is a colorful eyeshadow palette. And when I do eyeshadow looks with it, I like them. I just don't think that the quality is like, at the time when I purchased it, I loved it, but I don't think that the quality is as there for me as now when I can compare it to other more colorful shadows. But it's still a good palette, and especially for the price, I don't think you can beat it, but it's not available anymore, and I just don't reach for it because I like the other colorful shadows in my collection more. So she's at the back of the band. Number 22 on the list is the Sweet Peach palette by Too Faced, which if you were around the beauty community during that time, this palette caused a commotion and a half, like a commotion times 400. Like this was the start of one of those palettes that just like sold out immediately and companies didn't know how to handle it and you couldn't even get in the site. I did buy it in the midst of all that craziness because it like really appealed to me. I was like, I will use every shade in here. I'll even find a use for this green one. And I've had it ever since. And people raved about this palette and love this palette. And I feel like I'm crazy. I feel like I have the same problem with Colourpop and with Too Faced where people rave about the formula of the eyeshadows and I personally just like do not like them. Like the formula of Colourpop and the formula of Too Faced just does not agree with me. I find that all the colors blend very muddily into my eyes, especially when I use this palette. Even if I use drastically different shades, if I come up here and I come down here, one color, I swear on my life, and it just doesn't look intentional and it doesn't look like the way I like my eyeshadow to look. So I keep this palette for fond memories. I wear it sometimes, but it's just not really one of my favorite palettes, if we're being honest. Number 21, I think. This was hard. This was hard for me to admit it's all the way back here. This is like a Lancome 5 eyeshadow, kind of similar to the Dior one. This one is in Bronze Amour 101. And this is really difficult for me to admit it's all the way back there because for like a whole summer, this was all I ever wore. And it's still perfect to take traveling because it's so small and compact. It does have like a pretty nice large mirror. Hello. I wore this for a whole summer because I thought that this color was absolutely so flattering, and it still is. However, you need to wet your brush with a setting spray before you apply it. Otherwise, it will be gone in 0.2 seconds and it won't look as like luminescent and shiny. And I don't reach for it as much now. And I don't know why, because I still find it to be a really flattering palette and it does have like literally everything you need to build like a really nice bronze look. But it's just kind of fallen by the wayside for me because I think, you know, I've got colors similar and better quality formulas. So it was kind of sad for me to admit that it's all the way back here. But when I had to be honest with myself, I was like, yeah, my number 1 has fallen down to number 21, which is interesting. Next, this may come as a bit of a surprise. I have the James Charles Morphe palette, the miniature one, all the way down here at number 20. And that's because I use this palette. I think this palette is nice quality. I've never used it for a neutral eye, so I don't know what the whole top half of the palette is like. The only reason I even bought this palette was for the bright, colorful rainbow shades at the bottom. And there's so many rainbow palettes out there, but I just picked up an affordable one. I like it, and I like the quality's nice for the majority of shades I've tried. I just only use it for like really colorful over-the-top looks, not for like every day or even every week type makeup. I use it when I'm doing something a bit more extreme, so it's down at number 20 because it's not because it's bad, just because I don't reach for it. It's not my style of palette. It serves a specific purpose in my collection, and it's just not reached for as much as a result. I have this Marc Jacobs in Scandalust. It's like their Eye-Conic line. It looks like this. When I saw this palette in Sephora, I was with my mom. I was like, I need that palette. Like I was drooling over these two shades in particular. And they're very pretty. They are very pretty. However, it's kind of the same. I bought it the same summer. I bought the Lancome one, and it's kind of the same story where like I only wore those two palettes. Now it's kind of weird that it's back at number 19, but I just don't find myself reaching for it as much anymore. And I really don't know why. I have nothing negative to say about it. I just think it's kind of basic now compared to like a lot of the other stuff that I have in my collection, and how my eyeshadow tastes have kind of changed a bit. Number 18, this one is hard too because this is a really nice palette. This Beauty Bay Pastels palette. I think this is a great palette. I love every look I've ever done with this. I think it's so easy to work with, and for pastel shades, they're actually very vibrant and pigmented, and you don't need to do a ton of building or put on a white base or do any number of crazy things to get them to like work. They just work. And it's affordable and it's great quality. It's just back here because like I just don't need a pastel palette that often, but it's definitely not because it's like a bad palette. I love this palette. It's just like not like an everyday reach for and great quality, and because like that's eventually how I had to start ranking it was, is it great quality? Do I reach for it all the time? Like, do I pack it when I go on vacation? And while it's great quality, I don't reach for it like every day, and I don't pack it when I go on vacation, so. Number 17. This one's actually number 17. Number 17 is my Too Faced Natural Eye palette. And it looks like this, just another basic, simple palette that I've had forever, obviously, because it's in their tin container. Again, it's back here because I don't love the formula of Too Faced eyeshadows. Like, they're not my favorite. This palette, I think, may be a bit of an exception. I do like the formula in here. It is a little bit basic, and I don't reach for it every day over, like, the other colors that I have similar to this collection that I have in other formulas. I love it, though, because it is, like, a go-to palette to take when traveling. It's small, it's compact, it has anything I need for, like, a daytime or nighttime look, especially without doing all these crazy colors if I don't have any need to. And it's metal, so the shadows are protected. So I really, really, really enjoy it for that purpose, and I love it. I just don't reach for it while I'm here because these colors I have in shadows and shades that I like more. Number 16, this one stings. This one stings me in my core. This is the Pat McGrath Mothership 5, the bronze one, the one that looks like this. I named this in like a palette tag as what I thought is the most like overrated palette. I do not think Pat McGrath shadows are worth that huge $129 price tag for, you know, 10 shadows. I just don't. Like, yeah, they're amazingly sparkly. They're more sparkly than any other eyeshadow I own, and picture does not do it justice to how sparkly it is in real life. But I find it so difficult to build a look with this palette alone. I always have to bring in another palette to complete it. And there's just not that many occasions in my life, like with the pandemic and everything, especially, where I need like a super, super, super sparkly eyeshadow. And I just don't find myself reaching for it that often, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like it's a go all out type of palette in a stay all in kind of world. So she's all the way back here. Decent quality, good quality shadows, very sparkly. Do I think if I had tried this palette and I knew what it was like, would I pay $129 to have this in my collection again? No, I absolutely would not. And I feel like this is one of her more talked up palettes, so I don't know. That's the end of the line with me and Pat McGrath's eyeshadows. Also because she's not cruelty free, but that's a discussion for a different time. Next, I have my OFRA Glitch 2000 palette. And I'm not gonna lie, I like this palette a lot. Some may say I love this palette. Can I get it open? That's the real test. looks like this on the inside. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. I think that these colors are really unique and cool and easy to play with in like a different sort of way because they're kind of muted and they don't really like stand out that much, if you can see what I mean. Like I'm doing pink and blue, but does it look that crazy? Don't tell me if it looks that crazy. I don't want to know. But yeah, it's a nice palette. So I really like it, but is it something that I would reach for every single day? No, it definitely doesn't have those kind of everyday shades for me. Is it something I bring with me while traveling? No. I just need the space for more neutral looks usually when I'm traveling. So therefore it just falls, you know, a little bit lower. Not because I don't love it and not because it's not great quality, just because it's not like all of the categories. Next is my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. It looks like this on the inside. My sister bought it for me for my birthday one year and I had been lusting after it. And I still absolutely love this palette. It's not down here. I think it's great quality. I think that the shadows perform really well. I think that the color story is great, easy to be more neutral or a little bit more fun if you want. I just don't reach for it every day. I don't really know why. It just kind of slips under the radar in my brain for some reason. I don't know. I should make an effort to use it more, and then maybe if I redo this in 6 months, it'll have jumped up a few spaces, but it is a really nice palette and I really enjoy it. So it's just not something I reach for every day or take traveling. So she's got to be down here. I had to make some decisions, okay? I love eyeshadow and I love my eyeshadow palettes, but I just had to make hard decisions. This is another hard decision. The Masquerade by Juvia's Place. This is the mini one. And it looks like this. And I love this palette because it does have both neutrals and colorful shades. So if I am traveling somewhere where I'm gonna want some color sometimes, I can pack this one really easily. I don't know why I'm not so over the moon about the quality of Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes like I am about some other brands' eyeshadow. It is good quality. It is really good quality. It is not so expensive that like I'm like, okay, this was not worth it at all. It's just, I don't know how to explain. Let me think. It's just a different eyeshadow formula, and I can see why some people would find it easier to work with because it's very pigmented right off the bat. But for me, I like it to be just a touch less pigmented so that I can build it up to where I want it and blend it, you know, a little bit easier. It doesn't have that same kind of like easy blend slipability that other shadows have. It is more wants to stay where you had originally put it on and your brush kind of slips over it, if that makes sense. But I definitely like, it is good quality eyeshadow. It's not my favorite formula for eyeshadow for me personally, but I do love this palette and I do think it's really easy to travel with, and I do think that it's, you know, got a really nice mix of colors that makes it easy to do any kind of look that you want. So again, I just had to I had to make hard decisions. So it's gotta be back here. This is the Viseart Paris Nudes. I absolutely adore this palette and I get compliments on my eyeshadow whenever I wear it. I think it's obviously not for everyone. Very muted, very like what I would call like bridal tones, these very romantic sort of shades. Somehow though, when you put them on the eye, they do just really bring out your eye. And they do look really like shimmery, and it's really nice if you're especially going like, I used to wear this when I was in college all the time to class, so I didn't look too made up because that like, I was an engineering student, so I would wear like a t-shirt and Nike shorts and then also do my makeup because it's too lazy to get dressed, but I love makeup. So this would be a nice compromise. That my eyeshadow looked really nice, but wasn't like over the top. Do you know what I mean? And it's also got like a nice different array of shades here that all kind of make a look. Or you can mix and match it, obviously. I hate the packaging. I know it's like for makeup artists. I don't care. I hate it. I think for the price that these palettes are, this should have something. Like one eyeshadow just keeps falling out. It was like an $80 palette. It's just back here, you know, because I don't really reach for it every day anymore. I definitely could start. And I don't take it with me when I'm traveling because the packaging is fragile. It's good, great quality though. And I really like the looks it gives. I like my eyeshadow when I put it on. Get a lot of compliments, so. Hard decisions, again, hard decisions. The Viseart the Viseart Tryst palette is next. And this one, I can't even like tip it over to show you because all the shadows will just fall out. All of them, every single one. And I I don't understand. I don't know why. Why, if you're paying this much money for eyeshadow, I like the packaging of this one more. We've improved on that. Why don't the shades stay in there, in their spots? Why must they all fall all over me when I want to do my eyeshadow? And it's a fun game. If I open up the palette, you can hear them rattling around in there. That part I hate. The colors are really pretty, and every time I do an eyeshadow look with this, it's so like romantic and beautiful and absolutely stunning. Hate the packaging. And I don't reach for it every day, and I can't take it traveling because the shades will fall out all over the place. So it's back here, but it is a nice palette. Aside from it doubles as a maraca, so I don't know, maybe that's why they charge so much. Next, oh, this is, I feel like, gonna make some people mad. Some people are not gonna agree with me on this one. My Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette. I absolutely love this palette. I love, love, love it. I think that these berry tones are my favorite eyeshadow colors to wear. Gracious, look at them. I know you think berry tones are everywhere, but look at them. Great quality. I find the quality fantastic. The only real issue is that I wish it had more variation among tones. And I don't mean like when you look from here to here, it definitely seems like, Renee, there's a ton of variation in tones. But when you look like in here, say, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we could have used some middle tones or like a few more like lighter berry tones up here, because I feel like we've got like a light pink, but then we've got like a light gold and then some mattes. I don't know, just like a touch more variation in shades. But for the most part, I think it's great quality and I love it. I don't really reach for it every day because I don't do berry looks every day. I like to kind of like switch it up. I have taken it traveling. I do take it traveling. And I just love the colors. I love the colors. What can I say? I just love berry toned eyeshadow. Next, this one, new addition to my collection. Thought it was cool though, the KVD Vegan Beauty. Can we all just talk about how dumb a name that is? Like, only comfortable buying from the company now that Kat Von D makes no money off of it, but I wish that they would have just Kendo Vegan Beauty, Kendo Vegan Designs Beauty. KVD Vegan Beauty is just a mouthful and a half. It looks like this, and it's absolutely so beautiful. My best friend Brianna got this for me for Christmas, and I have done so many beautiful, beautiful looks with it. I love these berry tones. Everything blends out really easily. They're not scary. I don't know. I feel like I've used every shade at this point. Some it's more obvious in than others because I've like really used those. And I just like it. I think it's fun. I think that these tones are like really on trend for me right now. And I know a lot of people when this came out thought it was like boring. I don't. I also love how it's fully recyclable. So you could recycle this whole thing when you're done. And I think that that's a cool trend towards sustainability in makeup would be, you know, like things like refillable packaging and recyclable products, things that you just don't have to throw away. If it expires, you can recycle it. I really enjoyed this palette. She's only down as far as it is on the list because I haven't had that much time. I got it for Christmas to like really gather so many thoughts on it. Next is my Lunar Beauty Strawberry Dream palette. It looks like this with the shades. Absolutely beautiful. My sister and I both own it and it's so cool. I just love these colors. I love like the whole aesthetic of the packaging. Great quality, absolutely great quality. Very easy to blend, very easy to use. No complaints about the quality, no complaints about like the packaging is so nice with a big mirror and look how beautiful that is. And the colors are really cool too. It's just not something I reach for every single day because these aren't like my neutral colors that I can wear every single day. But when I want like a pink toned or colorful look, this is a really, really, really nice palette to have on hand. Next, fairly unsurprisingly, the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette. And side note, how beautiful do these look together? Oh my gosh, this kind of looks like my eyeshadow. Wow, I didn't even plan that. Manny, hire me as a model. Anyway, what was I even gonna say? So this one I'm ranking slightly higher than the Strawberry Dream palette just because it does have some everyday shades for me. It's got those golds and browns where I can just make like a neutral look. It's got these blues, which I think are so cool. And I don't feel like this is just a neutral palette with a pop of blue to make it exciting at Colourpop and the purple random shades. I think that this is genuinely like a really, really cool blue, smoky, spacey palette, and definitely something I didn't have anything like in my collection. I don't have a lot of cool toned eyeshadows. So this was really cool. And I still can just use it like as a normal, as a neutral eyeshadow palette too. So that's why it ranks slightly higher. Still same great quality as the Strawberry Dream. Can't complain. You're doing great, Manny. The Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe, the volume 1. This one's next. This one I absolutely love too. I think the quality of the eyeshadows is great. I think the color selection is great. This is kind of random to me. Don't use that, but like you can do a pink look, you can do like a red look, you can do like an orangey look, you could do like a very smoky look. I do reach for it a lot, and I do reach for it pretty consistently, especially if I'm doing a look and I'm like, shoot, I need like a transition shade or a brown just slightly deeper or cooler, whatever. I feel like I can usually find whatever I was looking for in this palette. So I really love this palette. I don't really travel with it though, and I don't really like the size of it because I find it really bulky to store. It's like fairly tall, fairly wide. It's not easy to travel with. It's not easy to store in my drawer. It sits in a special side compartment than the other palettes. This palette didn't make it quite as far as it could have, but c'est la vie. Now we're getting into all the ones that I like love, and trying to rank these was almost impossible. Trying to rank all my palettes was almost impossible, but these especially. The Nabla Secret Garden palette. My sister gave this to me for Christmas, and I am in love. Like, doesn't this palette look like a secret garden? Doesn't it conjure up images of magical fairies and leaves and Stardew Valley? Because to me, yes. And again, it's got colorful shades, it's got neutral shades, so it seems to be a theme in palettes that I like. The quality is fantastic. Every look I've made, I've absolutely loved. 12 out of 10, great palette, great palette. Great palette. I have no negative words to say about it. Which is probably going to be the theme for the eyeshadows that we've got coming up. And this is, I think, the top 5 category. That was number 5. This is number 4. My Master palette by Mario. I have really used so much of this palette. But it was limited edition and sold out like very quickly. So happy I got my hands on it, but I'm so afraid of it one day running out or going bad. And I know you're like, oh, but you could just recreate those eyeshadow colors everywhere else in your collection. No, these ones are special. I don't know what it is about the formula of this palette. It is so good. I love this palette. I think it's fantastic. I obviously have hit pan on this shade, which is rare for me to hit pan in an eyeshadow because I have so many eyeshadows, but it's just so easy to use. The colors all blend together seamlessly. You can do a one shadow all over and look so put together for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what's different. I don't know who Mario and Anastasia sold their souls to put into this formula, but oh my goodness, I love it. I'm positive if she brought this back out, it would be sold out again. I feel like I'm gonna get some like backlash on this one too. Another unpopular opinion by Renee today. The Modern Renaissance, this used to be everyone's favorite palette when it came out. It turned on the whole berry eyeshadow trend just by having like 2 berry shades. Everyone, I feel like, had it, went crazy for it. Best palette ever. It was on everyone's favorite list. And then it just kind of like all fell away, and I don't know, people like decluttered it or don't have it anymore, like threw it away and never repurchased it because there's so many other new cool things to try. I don't know. I still to this day love this palette. I think she's great. The shadow quality, chef's kiss. They blend so easily. The color story is immaculate. It's got everything I want. See, we've got my berry tones. We've got my gold, my neutrals, and everything I want in a palette. I do take it traveling with me. I do wear it every day. The quality is fantastic. That's why she gets to be number 3. And I will not be taking further questions on that. This one definitely surprised me. The Nabla Soul Blooming palette. It looks like this. Another just like, I feel like Nabla just makes such dreamy, magical color stories. Like I feel like I'm in a magical world when I look at this palette. Like I'm in the fairy kingdom of dawn or something. Like, or I'm in a Renaissance painting where I'm like, lounging in a field of flowers or coming out of the ocean or something. I'm not sure. I get very specific, weird, nostalgic vibes from this palette for a life I've never led and will never lead. And I use this palette so often. I do reach for it all the time. You wouldn't even think so. Where are my neutral tones? There's not very many. But it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look crazy when I put it on. Even with all the blues, it looks so cool with the pinks. I love it. I literally love it. Quality is fantastic. I do not think I've taken any trip since having this palette without this palette. Shades are so cool. Formula is great. Reach for it all the time. Easily a number 2. Easily. I thought it was going to be number 1 when I started this. But then I had to give a real, long, hard think about my life. And I came to the conclusion that it's not number 1. The Natasha Denona Biba palette had to be number 1. If you can tell how loved this palette is, I think this is probably the palette that I've reached for the most in my collection because it is so easy to make a look out of. Just like an everyday, going to the grocery store, running errands, going to lunch, like it's easy. It's easy. It does not take me any thought process to say I'll put this color on as transition, this on my lid, this on the outer corner, call it a day. So easy. And originally it was my go-to travel palette. It's got a massive mirror and it's pretty sturdy and it doesn't take up that much space. However, we faced a disaster recently where this black shade just decided it didn't want to be in there anymore. So I'm trying not to tilt it too much so it doesn't just leak black all over my pink sweatpants. But you can see, like, I use it all the time. Great quality, fantastic quality. The shadows blend really well. They're pigmented, sparkly, really easy. Bring it all the time when I'm traveling, reach for it almost every day. So if I had to be honest with myself about if like the Nabla palette or this palette was gonna take the number 1 spot, that's where that decision had to come down to. It was like, it checks all of the boxes and is my most reached for palette. And therefore, she's my number 1 palette in my collection. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this video was very difficult for me. It was very difficult for me to admit, you know, that I do play favorites in my collection. And ranking all these palettes that I like love and reach for and would cry if I lost was like actually kind of difficult. I do think though that that's the right order. You'd have to let me know if you agree, like what you think of these palettes and what like your ranking would be and what your number 1 palette is, because I'm always interested to know that stuff because it obviously performs so differently on everyone and makeup is so subjective that what you like I might hate and vice versa. So I don't know, let me know. What's your favorite eyeshadow palette? And do you disagree with any of my spots or rankings? I am very interested to know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.